is originally from northern Minnesota. Emily graduated from NDSU with a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering. She started working for the DOT in 2006 in the construction pool, and shortly after received a position at the Bismarck District. Emily and her husband have a ranch near St. Anthony where they live with their 2 kids and raise longhorn cattle.
Thanks, Sharon.
Okay, Emily, do you have your presentation up?
Yeah, let me see. You see it?
Yep, you are up now. Go ahead.
So thanks, Sharon. My presentation is kind of a continuation of Cameron's. I was the project engineer for this project last summer, so I'm just going to be talking about how we constructed it. Let's see, just some project info. It was about 5 miles of guardrail that we installed. It started on the east end of Grant Marsh Bridge, and it went to the east side of exit 161. The contractor was Custom Contracting Solutions. This is just for the Bismarck job. The Fargo and Grand Forks, those jobs had a different contractor, so I'm not sure if they built everything the same as us, but this was Custom did ours, and they were pretty efficient. They started on August 5th, and they were completely done with the, installing the guardrail by September 6th, and then there was a few smaller ticket items that happened after that, but really fast. In and out. There was a 1-lane closure on the interstate for that month. So, minimal impact to the public. They were still able to go 60, but it was a 1-lane closure. And it cost about 1.4 million. So this shows, I think Cameron had called them driven sockets. I call them sleeves in my presentation, but same thing. It's that sleeve that the post sits in, that's driven in the ground, and then the post sits in this sleeve that's at ground level. It sits in there about a foot, and these are pounded every 10 feet, and then they put the post in the sleeve, and then they string the cable, and the cable is spaced at these intervals on my chart there. Okay, this picture is a good picture to show a couple things. It shows the way that the cable is weaved through the posts. That is done just to, really keep that tension. And it also shows the turnbuckles. That's where the cable is spliced together. They call them turnbuckles. It's kind of like a Chinese finger trap, how it just gets tighter as you pull it. So that's how the splice works. Each spool of cable was about 1,000 feet. So every 1,000 feet we have these turnbuckles. And then the cable is tensioned according to the temperature outside. So it was August, it was 90-ish. So around 3,000 pounds is where we were tensioning that cable. This is a view of the anchor system. This is how the guardrail is anchored to the ground on the ends. So there was 9 runs total, so 18 of these. And these were actually poured at the same time that they were driving the sleeves. They had 2 crews. And so this is a cylinder, goes down into the ground, and there's a rebar cage and everything in there to keep it all. And these bolts on the top of this plate, they go in like 20 inches or 2 feet or something like that. They're pretty long, and that's how it all is on the end. And then you can see the posts are kind of graduated up the first 3 to get to that post, the 50 inches. This is a video. There's no audio. It's just a video that shows them stringing the cable. So Okay, and then it just kind of showed a final view of the finished product. Okay, so about, I don't know if it was 4 or 5 days after we finished installing all the guardrail, we had our first crash. It happened at night. This was a van that was coming down an on-ramp and trying to merge onto I-94. Not really sure what happened, but they hit the guardrail pretty good. Definitely, I would say this prevented a median crossover. Maybe even prevented a, serious accident. So there was 19 posts that got hit this time and wrecked. The cable keeps its tension really well. It deflects a lot and then it goes back to its shape and it keeps its tension really well. We went out the next day. We have a trailer with replacement parts on hand all the time, and we had some guidance on what to do. So this was our first time going out and fixing a damaged section. So maintenance, we went out there and it probably took, I don't know, maybe like an hour and a half to fix those 19 posts. They break off right at ground level, and then we just put a new post in, and you have to weave it in. The cables are still really tight, so that is probably the thing that takes the most time. And you can see in the middle picture is some sparks, and he's just cutting, I think he's using a grinder to cut a post that was kind of jammed in there. You're never supposed to cut the cable unless it's a life-threatening situation. And if you do have to cut the cable, you try to cut at the turnbuckles so that it's easier for the splice. And so, like I said, it was pretty painless to fix it. I shouldn't say us because I was just taking pictures and not helping, but maintenance guys do a really good job. They're out there right away after a hit, I mean, within a day, and when they're done, you really can't tell, that anything happened there. So they do a great job. And then I just have one more view of the final product. You can see the weaving, and we put some reflectors on the top. It helps at night, and then these clips kind of helped keep the cable. There's a little groove in the post too where the cable sits, but the clips help just a little bit. And I think that's my last slide if anybody has any questions.
Okay, Emily, there are some questions, and I'm going to let Jordan read the questions.
Okay.
Yeah, the first one is, how many times has this been hit since it was installed?
Well, it was hit a few times last fall, and I once the project is over and I final it out, I guess I'm not really that involved with it, but I do know that it was hit a couple times this winter and a couple times this spring. So I would say less than we thought it would get hit, but and definitely more, nuisance crashes, like Cameron said, not serious injuries, just property damage.
Okay. Couple other questions, I guess. How deep did the line posts go into the ground, and how deep did the anchors go into the ground?
I think the anchors were, I don't have my shop drawings right here, but I think they were like 12 or 15 feet or something like that of concrete. And then I think they're talking about the driven sockets. Those are, I don't know, 6 feet tall, I suppose. I think Cameron had a picture of a guy holding one, and it was a little bit taller than him, and then it goes to ground level. So I would say 6 feet.
Okay. It looks like that's all there is, Sharon.
Oh, I think a couple more came in here. Let's see.
Oh, sorry about that. I didn't see those come in.
No.
After the posts were hit, was there any trouble getting debris out of the sleeves for new posts to be installed?
A little bit, I would say. I guess that's kind of what we were worried about for winter, if they'd be jammed full of ice. We do have a kind of like this big pressure washer thing that we can go to spray out the sleeves, and that helps. But for the most part, they came out pretty clean.
Okay, does the cable get stretched after a few accidents, and does it ever need to be changed after it gets hit a certain number of times?
Well, I guess I'm not sure. It's pretty new for us. We check the tension. We have a tension meter, so you can check the tension at any time and, you know, relate it to the temperature outside. And so far it's held its tension after these hits.
Okay, one question here. Are the posts galvanized?
Yes.
Okay, and then we just had one other comment, I guess, is the anchors are substantial. And this was someone from Grand Forks who has experience with it, so.
Okay.
One more question here came in, Emily. How will median guardrails affect mowing and other maintenance?
I don't know if I can answer that one.
I would just assume it would probably cause, you know, a little more maintenance work with trimming and things like that, but not a whole lot. But I can see just a little more of that trimming work being done around those or needing to be done.
Yeah, and we also try to keep it far enough away from the roadway where the snow plows aren't going to be hitting it or getting close to it. That's why we like that 6-to-1 inslope so that we have room.